Hello and welcome to the class. My name's Paddy. Today we're going to talk about modal verbs for obligation, prohibition and permission. So by the end of this class you'll be able to talk about rules, what you can, can't and what you have to do. After this class, if you have any questions, remember that you can click on the Ask Your Teacher button at the top of the web page. If you click on this button, you will be able to send us a message with any questions that you have. Also, during this class, there will be some questions for you to answer. You can find these questions below the video. I will tell you when to answer these questions, and I will give you some time to do so. Okay, let's get started. Here are some signs. They tell you what you can, can't, and what you have to do. Let's think about the meaning of these signs. The first sign. Here is a sentence, and we are missing a word from this sentence. I'd like you to think about what word is missing from this sentence. Look at the first question below this video, and can you choose the correct option for sentence number 1? Is it must, mustn't, or can? Look at that question and choose your answer now. The correct answer is can. You can smoke here. You can smoke here. This is permission. You have permission to smoke. Next one. Look at the next question below this video, and can you choose the correct word to complete this sentence? Is it must, mustn't, or can? The correct answer is must. You must stop your car here. This is an obligation. You don't have any choice. You must. Finally, number 3. Look at the next question below this video, and can you choose the correct word to complete this sentence? Is it must, mustn't, or can? The correct answer is mustn't. You mustn't eat or drink in the cinema. It is a prohibition. You're not allowed to. So let's think about these modal verbs. Can, must, and mustn't are all modal verbs that we use for prohibition, permission, and obligation. First of all, obligation. You must stop your car. You must stop your car. Must is a modal verb that we use for obligation. We can also use have to. Have to. This has the same meaning as must in this context. You have to stop your car and you must stop your car. It means the same thing. We use must and have to talk about rules, obligations, and requirements in the present and in the future. For example, I have to get my car fixed tomorrow. This is not a rule, but it is a personal obligation or a personal requirement. I have to get my car fixed tomorrow. Did you notice how I pronounced this? Have to. Have to is pronounced with an F sound, not a V sound. So it's not have to, it's have to. I have to get my car fixed tomorrow. Okay, let's look at one more example, and this is another sign. I'd like you to think about the meaning of this sign. Here are 4 sentences. A, you must wear a hard hat. B, you must to wear a hard hat. C, you have to wear a hard hat. And D, he have to wear a hard hat. 2 of these sentences are correct, 2 of them are incorrect. I would like you to choose the two correct sentences. Look at the next question below this video, and can you choose the two correct sentences from A, B, C, or D? The correct answer is A and C. You must wear a hard hat. You have to wear a hard hat. You must to is incorrect. Have to, correct, but must does not need the word to after it. And D, he have to wear a hard hat. This is incorrect because if it's he, we need to change have to has. He has to wear a hard hat. He has to wear a hard hat. Now let's look at prohibition. In this image, you can see food is prohibited and drink is prohibited. We mustn't eat and we can't drink here. Mustn't eat, can't drink. Mustn't and can't are both modal verbs in the negative, and we use them for prohibition. This means you cannot. It is not permitted. You can't smoke inside. It's not allowed. You mustn't talk during the movie in the cinema. It's prohibited. Notice that with the word mustn't, there is only one T sound. Mustn't is pronounced mustn't, mustn't. So we drop that first T. It's not mustn't. That would be very difficult to say. Another sign. Again, I'm going to show you 4 sentences, A, B, C, D. 2 of them are correct, 2 of them are incorrect. Look at the next question, and can you choose the 2 correct sentences? The correct answers are B and D. You can't park here. You mustn't park here. A, you don't park here. Well, don't is not a modal verb of prohibition, obligation, or permission. And C, you must park here. Well, that's the opposite. This is saying no parking, so you mustn't park here. Next, we come to modal verbs for permission. Here we can see a lane or a path, and it's made for cyclists. So, cyclists can use this lane. Cyclists can use this lane. Can is a modal verb that we use for permission. It means that cyclists are allowed to use this part of the street. And because we're saying cyclists can use this lane, maybe that means that they can't use the road or the pavement or the sidewalk. I can work from home in my job. My boss lets me work from home in my job. Notice the word stress. I can work from home in my job. They can't use the road or pavement. There is a difference between can and can't. With can't, because it's negative, we stress it. You can't have a barbecue. You can't have a barbecue. But with can, we don't stress it. We stress the word after. You can have a picnic here. You can have a picnic here. Listen to how I say can. It becomes can. You can have a picnic here. You can have a picnic here, but you can't have a barbecue. Next, we come to don't have to. This is a little bit different. It means that there is no obligation. For example, if you see a sign that says free entry, this means you can come in, but you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay. We use don't have to when there is no obligation. You can, if you wanted to pay, I'm sure they would take your money, but you don't have to pay. It's not necessary. I don't have to work tomorrow. It's Saturday. You don't have to wear formal clothes, but you can if you want to. Be careful. Don't have to means no obligation. Have to means obligation. Must means obligation also, but mustn't means no permission, prohibited. So don't have to and mustn't do not mean the same thing. Here is another example. We can see a place that says free newspapers. Which of these sentences is true? This time there are 3 correct sentences. Look at the next question below this video and can you choose the 3 correct sentences? The correct answers are A, B, and C. You don't have to take a newspaper. If you want a newspaper, you can take one, but you don't have to. It's not an obligation. B, you can take a newspaper. Yeah, it says free newspapers, so you can take one. And C, you don't have to pay for the newspaper. They're free. You don't have to pay. D, you mustn't take a newspaper. Well, this is not true. It says free newspapers, so you can take a newspaper. So D is false. Sometimes we want to ask questions about rules. When we ask questions, we use do you have to or can you for questions about obligation or permission. For example, do you have to pay to use this service? No, you don't have to pay. Can you drink coffee in this room? Yes, you can drink coffee if you want to. Let's look at 2 more examples. I'm going to show you the answer. I would like you to think about the question. So read the answer. What is the question? Look at the next question below this video and can you choose the correct question for number 1? Is it, must you smoke here? Do you have to smoke here? Can you smoke here? Choose the correct option now. The correct answer is, can you smoke here? This person is asking about permission or prohibition of smoking. The answer, no, you mustn't. This is prohibition. So permission and prohibition, you ask, can you? Number 2, the answer is yes, you need a ticket to travel. So what is the question? Look at the next question below this video and choose the correct option from do you have to buy a ticket? Can you buy a ticket? Need you to buy a ticket? Which of those is correct? The correct answer is, do you have to buy a ticket? This person is asking about obligation. Is there an obligation? Or maybe is there no obligation? Well, the answer is yes, there is an obligation. You need a ticket to travel. We can also talk about rules, obligation, permission, prohibition in the past. To do this, we use the past forms of have to, don't have to, can, and can't. There are no past forms for must and mustn't, so we cannot use these for the past. The past forms of these verbs are have to and has to becomes had to. We had to wear a uniform at school. Don't have to or doesn't have to both become didn't have to. So when I was at school, I didn't have to go on Saturday. Can becomes could. We could wear t-shirts on Fridays. Can't becomes couldn't. We couldn't use our phones in class. So it's the past simple forms of all of these verbs. But again, must and mustn't can't be used in the past. I'm going to show you some sentences. I would like you to complete these sentences to show the difference between the past, my last job, and the present, my current job. Number 1, I must wear a tie in my current job, but in my last job, What is the correct phrase to complete this sentence? Look at the next question below this video, and can you write the correct phrase to complete this sentence? The correct answer is didn't have to. You could also say did not have to, but didn't have to. There was no obligation in the past, but there is an obligation now. Number 2, in my last job, we go on social media during office hours, but my current boss doesn't care about it. What would be logical to go in this space? Look at the next question below this video, and can you write the correct phrase to complete it? The correct answer is couldn't or could not. In my last job, we couldn't go on social media during office hours, but my current boss doesn't care about it. I can if I want to. Number 3, in my last job, I work on Saturdays, but it's not necessary in my current job. What's the correct phrase to complete sentence number 3? The correct answer is had to. I had to work on Saturdays. It was an obligation, but now it's not an obligation. To finish, let's look at some examples and see if they're correct or incorrect. I'm going to show you 6 sentences. 2 of them are correct. I would like you to choose the 2 correct sentences. Look at the final question below this video, and can you choose the 2 correct sentences from A, B, C, D, E, or F? The correct answers are B, she had to stay late and finish that project. This was an obligation for her in the past. And F, did you have to wear a uniform when you were a child? Asking a question about somebody's obligation in the past. A, I must to meet my boss later. 2 is incorrect. C, I start work at 9 a.m. I don't have to be late. This is a very strange thing to say. If you say you don't have to be late, that means normally people do have to be late, but that's not true. Maybe they meant to say, I mustn't be late. That would be correct. D, this is a non-smoking campus. You can smoke here. No, it's the opposite. You can't smoke here. And E, do you can park your car here? Not correct. Can you park your car here is the correct question. That is the end of this class. So hopefully now you have a better understanding of how to talk about rules, obligations, permission, and prohibition in the present, future, and in the past. Remember, if you have any questions, you can click on the Ask Your Teacher button at the top of your webpage, and we will respond to any messages you send us. Thank you for watching.